everyone. This is Dr. Nikunja Gujrati. I am a cardiorespiratory physiotherapist working as an academician at Sancheti Institute for Orthopaedics and Rehabilitation, College of Physiotherapy. Uh, for today's topic, this will be the part one of Essentials of Oxygen Therapy, a comprehensive guide. So let's start by understanding what is the need of oxygen therapy. So when we talk, we need to identify when we need to give supplemental oxygen. Let's treat oxygen here as a drug. It has its own side effects and it needs precise dosaging. So again, we need to have specific indications for as and when we need oxygen therapy. Let's see. Uh, uh, let's identify the need. So first, we can understand the need by looking at the ABG, atrial blood gas analysis, which can indicate towards hypoxemia or hypercapnia, and according to that, we can understand the need of oxygen therapies. Similarly, a more non-invasive method for that will be pulse oximetry, which is a routine procedure, I think, in most of the ICUs and even in a normal even in the ward setting if required. So apart from that, we also look at the clinical diagnosis of the patient. For example, a person with COPD, pneumonia, heart failure, even they might require uh, oxygen therapy. So why do we need to take into account the clinical diagnosis is, for example, let's say we consider COPD. And if the patient has hypoxic drive, then in that scenario, we need to be very cautious with respect to the oxygen that we are providing. The saturation in those cases need not exceed 90 or 92. Then we talk about bedside assessment. Let's say you see a patient who is not currently on supplemental oxygen, but you observe some certain clinical signs. For example, the patient is breathing heavily, the patient is tachypneic, patient is tachycardic, is looks a little bluish, is the he has distressed breathing. There is increased work of breathing. There is a recruitment of accessory muscles of respiration, and then those all things indicate that there is hypoxia and there is a need of oxygen therapy. Accurate assessment is crucial for timely and effective intervention, ensuring patient receives appropriate oxygen support to complete their specific needs. Now, before going into oxygen delivery systems, let's understand the terminologies associated with it. So, there are two main terminologies that we need to understand. First is the flow, and the second is FiO2. FiO2 means fraction of inspired oxygen. So, with flow refers to the volume of oxygen delivered per minute by an oxygen delivery system. For example, in a minute, let's say an oxygen delivery system provides around 3 liters, 4 liters, or 5 liters of oxygen. Then that refers to the flow rate of that particular device. Then comes FiO2. With FiO2, we mean fraction of inspired oxygen. Uh, FiO2 is the percentage or the concentration of oxygen available in the air that we are breathing in. When we all are currently on room air, we even when we don't have the concentration of oxygen in the in the atmosphere surrounding us is 21%. Because of that, we are breathing. Our normal breathing happens at 21% of FiO2. But when you provide an external delivery system, oxygen delivery system, then that FiO2 can be increased or decreased as per the requirement. So you can deliver FiO2 ranging up to 100% so as to fulfill the requirements of the patient. So FiO2 is the percentage or concentration of oxygen a person actually inhales. Now this is also the concentration that actually reaches the alveoli. I'm not just talking about the concentration around us. It also depends on how many breaths we are taking per minute, because that will affect the concentration of oxygen. It also depends on how much is my tidal volume. All these factors affect FiO2, and it indicates basically the concentration of oxygen at the alveolar level. Now, Moving forward, the performance of an oxygen delivery system can be measured by two things. First, how much FiO2 can it deliver? For example, a machine can deliver up to 100% of FiO2. So that is one consideration. And the second is, does it, I'm sorry, does it deliver constant FiO2 or does it deliver variable FiO2? What does that mean now? So whenever there is a mask, let's say, so when I put on a mask, the surrounding air, there might be gaps in between the placement of the mask and my face, and external atmospheric air can go inside. And once it goes inside, it will mix and it will dilute. It may dilute the concentration of oxygen which is delivered by the system. So in that case, there will be certain variability associated with the mask. So that is how we consider if a delivery device is either variable or constant. The performance of an oxygen delivery system is primarily judged by its ability to provide consistent and appropriate FiO2. If the system provides all of the patient's inspired gas, FiO2 remains stable and fixed. However, if the device provides some of the inspired gas and the patient must draw the remainder from the surrounding air, it is classified as variable. Now, moving on, how do we classify these systems? So there are three major systems. One is low flow oxygen system. Then comes the reservoir oxygen systems, and then comes high flow oxygen systems. So for low flow oxygen systems, there are these are characterized by oxygen flow where the rate is less than 8 liter per minute and the FiO2 delivery range is around 22 to 45%. These are usually used in patients where the patient is more or less stable. It is more like an add-on. So nasal cannula. So nasal cannula, I think, is the most common of this particular system. It delivers an FiO2 at a flow rate. It delivers a variable FiO2. The word variable is of key importance here. So it delivers FiO2 because there is the entrainment system, the air around can be mixed with the oxygen delivery system air and can be uh, given. So the nasal cannula, it has a delivery tube and it has something which can hold it through the back of your head. And there are small prongs, the nasal prongs, which deliver the air through your nose. It is more or less comfortable because it allows the patient to eat, sleep, and it allows the patient to move around a little bit without disturbing the oxygen flow. So it is one of the most common, but mind you, it only delivers a flow rate of up to 6 liter per minute and no more than that. Next comes the nasal catheter. Now, nasal catheter and transtracheal catheter, these are very rarely used entities. So, nasal catheter is something which is inserted through your nose and it crosses the up to your uvula, and it is usually used during small procedures like for example bronchoscopy, and it requires certain what we say it requires certain specialized procedure to insert this. Again, it is inserted to the nostril up till the nasopharynx. After that, we go to transtracheal catheter. It is like a small catheter is inserted through the trachea into the system. Now, all of this is very rarely done because again, even if the cost it is done if at all the requirements are like that, but again, not very commonly used. Now let's come to reservoir systems. So reservoir systems are designed to store oxygen between the patient's breaths, providing a readily available supply when inspiratory flow exceeds oxygen input to the device. So there is a small storage system inbuilt in the device which will trap the air inside, which will trap the oxygen inside when the patient in between two breaths. So the mechanism significantly reduces air dilution, allowing these devices to deliver a higher FiO2 level compared to the traditional low flow system. There are three major devices which are included. One is simple mask, second is partial rebreathing mask, and third is non-rebreathing mask. Now, moving on. Simple oxygen mask. I think everybody must have seen these. These cover on your nose and mouth. There is an oxygen inlet. The mask body itself. So this entire body will store oxygen, and it acts as a very small reservoir. So uh, when the oxygen comes in and when the patient is inspiring, it will go here, and during exhalation, the air comes out through here, but some air is stored here. So exhalation through open ports and around mask edges allows for gas release. For an average, when you talk about the oxygen flow rate, this reservoir system will only work if the flow rate is more than 5 liter per minute. If it is lesser than that, then you risk that whatever CO2 comes out will be re-inhaled. So whenever you see a mask, keep in mind that the oxygen flow rate has to be more than 5 liters per minute. At more than 10 level, more than 10 liter per minute, consider devices with the higher FiO2 delivery range. This device is not particularly made in a way that it could deliver more than 10 liters per minute. FiO2 here again is variable because there are the edges of mask might not be very snugly fit with the skin of your face. So there will be certain mixing and dilution of the air from the port and from the edges. Uh, the next system is partial rebreathing mask. The partial rebreathing mask is designed for moderate FiO2 delivery, combining features of a simple mask with a reservoir bag. Now, what is a reservoir bag? It is a bag which is connected here. So it features a 1 liter, this is about 1 liter bag, and it lacks a one-way valve between the, so if you compare this with a non-breathing mask, there is a valve here. Okay, so while inspiring, the patient inhales a mixture of oxygen from the source. From here, it goes here. Okay. During exhalation, one third of the exhaled gas enters the bag. One third goes here. From here also it will go here, and some of it is exhaled through this. FiO2 is moderate and variable, and oxygen flow rate, it must be sufficient. Sorry, it must be sufficient to prevent the reservoir bag from collapsing by more than one third during inspiration. So the flow rate needs to be a little high. So it is usually around 8 to 10 or more than that. So now the problem with this is some of the exhaled air also enters the reservoir bag. But when we go to non-rebreathing mask, there is a valve present here. While exhaling, this valve will close up. Since this valve close, only pure oxygen will enter the reservoir bag. Now, the exhaled air will be let out through the exhalation port, or this another valve which opens during exhalation. So these two valves are opposite. So there are two valves in a non-rebreathing mask, and there is only one valve, which is the expiratory. Either there is a port or a valve here. Then it has a 1 liter reservoir bag, and the stability of FiO2 will be a little better as compared to the partial rebreathing mask. So it can achieve concentrations of up to 70% FiO2 despite being referred to as 100% O2 mask. Air leaks can slightly be lower than can slightly lower the FiO2. So as there were ports here before, there was more mixing, but since there are no ports, there is a valve, the mixing is minimized. So these are your reservoir system. These reservoir come and help when the oxygen demand will increase and you need to breathe through the reservoir bag.